From a cursed child with nowhere to go, to becoming the clan head of one of the big three sorcerer families, these are all 9 forms of Yuta Okkotsu. Starting with the first one, we have Cursed Child Yuta. When Yuta's 10 years old, his childhood friend, Rika, who he had promised to marry when they grew up, is brutally killed in a car accident. The moment Yuta witnesses her death, his dormant ancestry, descended from the legendary Michizane Sugawara, causes him to subconsciously bind her soul. As a result, Rika becomes a special grade vengeful spirit, and from that point on, anyone who tried to hurt Yuta would be met with Rika's unspeakable retaliation. This all leads to the incident when Yuta is 15 years old. After 4 students who bullied him are found brutally crammed into a school locker by Rika, Tokyo Jujutsu High finally becomes aware of his existence. They label Yuta as a special grade curse and order his execution. And Yuta actually agrees to the execution. In fact, he even tries to take his own life before the official sentence. But Rika stops him. This is where Satoru Gojo steps in, and we move from Cursed Child Yuta to his form as a student at Jujutsu High. We'll call this Jujutsu High Yuta, or First Year Yuta. Gojo places a permanent hold on Yuta's execution and gets him enrolled at Jujutsu High. This leads to that iconic moment where Yuta walks into the classroom and completely shocks Maki, Panda, and Inumaki, basically aura farming without even trying. Of course, despite his overwhelming potential, Yuta at this stage is barely a sorcerer. However, he already has his Rika card. During a mission to an elementary school with Maki, the two are swallowed by a massive cursed spirit. Cornered with no way out, Yuta summons Rika by choice for the very first time and completely obliterates the curse. This moment marks his true awakening as a sorcerer, not just because he used Rika intentionally, but because it's the moment Yuta finally finds the will and confidence to keep living. Following this, Gojo gives Yuta a katana to serve as a medium for Rika's cursed energy. In other words, he teaches Yuta how to stabilize the curse by channeling that overwhelming power into the blade. Through this training, Yuta stops flinching and becomes used to fighting with the katana. Then comes the Kyoto Goodwill event, where Yuta proceeds to solo every Kyoto student, including Aoi Todo. And keep in mind, at this point, Yuta still hasn't awakened to his true potential. Not even close. But before we go any further, let me introduce today's video partner, WayinVideo. If you're a content creator, I'm sure you know how annoying it is to find a specific moment in a long video. You end up scrubbing through an entire episode, or even worse, a full movie, just to grab a 2 or 3 second clip. Yeah, that struggle ends today, my friend, thanks to WayinVideo. It's a powerful AI tool that saves you hours of work by finding characters, actions, emotions, or even exact lines in any video. All you have to do is head over to wayin.ai/WayinVideo, click on the Find Moments tab, and upload or paste the link to the video you want to work with. For example, here I uploaded the JJK episode where Gojo fights Toji, and I want to find the exact moment Gojo uses Hollow Purple. I just type in Satoru Gojo fires Hollow Purple, and boom! It finds the exact scene that I'm looking for. Alright, this time I uploaded episode 1071 of One Piece, and I want to find the iconic moment where Luffy uses Gear 5. And there you have it. It finds the exact scenes once again. You can also use these buttons here to edit the clips. You can add captions and customize their color and style. Reframe the clip to any aspect ratio you want, trim it, and use a few more useful editing features. The website's super beginner friendly, and you don't need a PC to use it. You can do everything straight from your phone or tablet. Use the link in the description below to sign up, and you'll get 200 free credits to start saving hours of work right away. Okay, those were the first 2 forms of Yuta Okkotsu, and we still have 7 more to go. The next one is Jujutsu Kaisen Zero Yuta, or simply put, Awakened Yuta. As you remember, Geto wanted Yuta on his side, but after Geto calls Maki a disgrace, Yuta makes it clear that he'll never help someone who insults his friends. Then comes December 24th, the night parade of 100 demons. The day Geto plans to unleash thousands of curses across Tokyo and Kyoto. Right before Geto casts the curtain and officially starts the war, we get that wholesome moment where Maki opens up to Yuta about the Zenin clan. Yuta responds by telling her that he wants to be just like her, and then casually adds, "Let's crush the Zenin clan," before laughing. And honestly, that might have been the exact moment Yuta won Maki's heart. Right after that, Geto traps the entire school inside a curtain and defeats Maki, Toge, and Panda with ease. That's when Yuta enters the scene, and after seeing what happened to his friends, he immediately summons Rika. Yuta then manages to heal Maki, Inumaki, and Panda using reverse curse technique, which is honestly an absurd feat. I mean, it wasn't until Gojo was basically killed by Toji that he figured out how to use it. Yet Yuta pulls it off just like that. Yuta then proceeds to copy Toge's cursed speech and wipes out an entire army of Geto's cursed spirits. Then comes the real fight. Yuta confronts Geto head-on, but at first, it doesn't go his way. Geto breaks Yuta's katana and smashes him with the special grade curse tool, Playful Cloud. But in true shonen protagonist fashion, Yuta responds by punching Geto with raw cursed energy, and even lands a black flash. Realizing the danger, Geto prepares his strongest attack, attack, Curse Spirit Manipulation Maximum Uzumaki, which is a tornado of 4,461 cursed spirits combined into one concentrated blast. In response, Yuta makes a binding vow. He promises to give himself to Rika completely and to stay with her forever if she locks in and helps him defeat Geto. This is Yuta fully awakened, and together with Rika, they fire a blast of love so powerful it completely vaporizes Uzumaki and leaves Geto mortally wounded. After the final clash, Rika begins to crack and fade, but instead of taking Yuta's soul, she's set free. That's when Gojo explains that Yuta's a descendant of Michizane Sugawara, one of the big three vengeful spirits, and also that him and Yuta are actually distant relatives. Because of this lineage, Yuta was born with an absurd amount of cursed energy, and in reality, it was Yuta who accidentally cursed Rika when she died, because he couldn't let her go, not the other way around. He was the one holding her soul captive the entire time. Rika thanks Yuta for their time together, and peacefully fades away. However, while Rika's soul passes on, her Shikigami shell remains. This shell becomes Yuta's permanent Shikigami, as well as a storage vessel for his cursed energy and copied techniques. Naturally, by the time Yuta becomes a second year, he gets much stronger. He's now considered second only to Gojo himself. We see the full results of that during the Colon game. But before we get there are still a few more Yuta forms we need to talk about. Before we continue, do me a quick favor, guys. We're really close to hitting 100k subscribers and getting that silver play button. So if you enjoy the content, hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to me. Next up is Special Grade Yuta. You see, from the moment Yuta's first noticed by Jujutsu Society, he's labeled as a special grade cursed human. But at some point, that classification changes. Yuta officially becomes a special grade sorcerer. And that's the version of Yuta we're talking about here. This is the Yuta who masters how to use Rika, the Queen of Curses, as his Shikigami. The Yuta who masters reverse curse technique. And the Yuta who travels to Africa to train with Miguel while searching for the Black Robe. And that brings us to the fifth form, Executioner Yuta. When Yuta finally returns to Japan, he makes a binding vow with the Jujutsu elders to kill the vessel of Sukuna. This was an insanely stressful moment for us fans, because the character everyone had been glazing was suddenly trying to kill our boy Yuji. However, it soon becomes clear that this was actually the only way to save Yuji's life. With Gojo no longer around to protect him or the others, Yuta had to step up and be him. While Yuta was still in Africa, Gojo had personally visited him about a month before the Shibuya incident, asking Yuta to protect the students, especially Yuji if anything were to happen to him. So when the Shibuya incident leads to Gojo being sealed, Yuta knows it's all on him now. He has to play a double game, keep the higher-ups satisfied while secretly carrying out Gojo-sensei's wishes. And that's exactly what he does. Yuta stops Yuji's heart to fulfill the literal terms of the binding vow, then immediately restarts it using reverse curse technique. Now, it might seem like a stretch to call this a separate form, but the level of reverse curse technique mastery, combined with the sheer aura farming Yuta does on Yuji, Chozo, and Naoya, clearly shows that he's evolved even further at this point. Next up, we have Colon Game Yuta. Before the game even begins, the story makes it very clear where Yuta stands. When Yuta says that a worked-up Hikari is stronger than him, Maki immediately shuts that down with, "That's not true." This is the author's way of telling us that Yuta is, without question, the definitive number 2, right behind Gojo, and we see exactly why during the clash in Sendai Colony. When Yuta enters the colony, he finds himself in a 4-way deadlock between some of the strongest characters in the arc. There's the ancient sorcerer Druvlok Dawala, who once conquered the Japanese archipelago by himself, the special grade cursed spirit Koro-Urushi, Takako Uro, former leader of the elite Sun, Moon, and Star Squad from the Heian era, and Ryu Ishigori, the man with the highest cursed energy output in history. It's easy to see why these four were stuck in a stalemate, and then Yuta enters the chat. He immediately breaks the deadlock by killing Druv on the spot. From there, Yuta moves on to fight Koro-Urushi. In this fight, he deliberately avoids revealing his ability to use reverse curse technique, since Uro and Ryu are watching from the sidelines, and he doesn't want to show his full hand. Eventually, he finishes Koro-Urushi by firing reverse cursed energy directly into it. Yes, with a mouth-to-mouth. But even with that sneaky, freaky W, Uro and Ryu realize how dangerous Yuta really is. That's when things escalate. Uro ambushes Yuta with her cursed technique, sky manipulation, which allows her to control the sky like a tangible surface. At the same time, Ryu starts firing massive cursed energy beams, known as granite blasts, straight from his hair. At this point, Yuta realizes he has to take it seriously, so he summons Rika to help him by completely manifesting her through the ring. This is a massive power amp that completely shocks both Uro and Ryu. With Rika manifested, Yuta gains access to her enormous cursed energy reserves to replenish his own, and she also functions as a storage vessel that equips him with cursed tools. The only limitation is that Yuta can maintain his connection with Rika for just 5 minutes. The fight then reaches its peak with a 3-way domain expansion, the only time in the entire story where 3 different domains are activated simultaneously. But before we can see the sure hit effects, Koro-Urushi's offspring interrupts from the outside, causing all 3 domains to collapse. And as you know, when a domain collapses, a user's curse technique enters a burnout state where they lose their output. But our boy Yuta adapts instantly. He copies Uro's sky manipulation and uses it to bend one of Ryu's granite blasts upward into the sky. While Ryu is distracted fighting Rika, that same blast loops back around from above. That's right, Yuta defeats Ryu using Ryu's own attack that he had redirected earlier. As for Uro, she's already out of the fight after losing an arm earlier to Kuro Urushi. All in all, Yuta proves himself objectively superior to all 4 top tiers of the Sendai colony at the same time. But of course, there's still more levels to Yuta's evolution left to uncover. Next up is Shinjuku Yuta. While Gojo vs Sukuna reaches its climax, Yuta sneaks away to handle Kenjaku. Thanks to Toto's Boogie Woogie, Yuta teleports directly behind him and decapitates Kenjaku with a single slash. As Kenjaku dies, his cursed spirit manipulation comes undone, releasing a ridiculous number of curses from his body. Rika immediately devours all of them, and then goes on to consume Kenjaku's head as well. This grants Yuta access to the brain transplant curse technique, which becomes relevant later. After that, Yuta returns to the battlefield and jumps Sukuna alongside Yuji. This is the moment where we finally see his broken domain expansion, Authentic Mutual Love. Inside the domain are countless katanas, each one representing a different copied curse technique. Yuta can wield any of these blades to activate their abilities without restriction, and he can even designate a specific technique as the domain's sure hit effect. He starts by using Uro's Thin Icebreaker, while Yuji stays locked in with his soul punches. Yuta then fulfills the conditions for Charles's G Warstaff to glimpse the future panel, and immediately follows it up by hitting Sukuna with Cleave. Wait, how did Yuta copy Cleave? As it turns out, Yuta gained access to Sukuna's Shrine technique by having Rika consume one of Yuji's fingers. This was possible because Shrine had already been engraved into Yuji's flesh. Ultimately, Yuta activates Maximum Output Jacob's Ladder as the domain's sure hit effect to weaken the connection between Sukuna and Megumi's soul. This is the moment they nearly win, but unfortunately, Megumi has already lost the will to resist after losing his sister. Sukuna exploits that split second of hesitation and unleashes a world-cutting slash, slicing both Yuta and Rika completely in half. And just like that, it looks like Yuta's role is over. But he still had one more card up his sleeve. Which brings us to the 8th form, Yujo, the fusion of Yuta and Gojo. This was made possible by using Kenjaku's brain transplant technique, which Yuta gained after Rika consumed Kenjaku. While preparing for the Shinjuku showdown, Yuta had already proposed a contingency plan. If Gojo were to die, Yuta would use his body. Now, why Gojo's body specifically? It's not like Yuta ever needed the body of someone he was copying before, so why now? Well, as Shoko explains, Yuta wouldn't be able to use Limitless simply by copying it. The technique is tied to Gojo's unique biology, and on top of that, it requires the sensory processing of the 6 eyes to even function, meaning the only way this could work was if Yuta's brain was physically placed inside Gojo's body. Naturally, no one was thrilled by this idea, but Yuta doesn't hesitate. In fact, he gets angry. He argues that everyone has always relied on Gojo to be their monster, and declares that if no one else is willing to lose their humanity to defeat Sukuna, then he'll become the monster himself. Back to action, Yuta returns in Gojo's body, and even Sukuna is visibly impressed by how far Yuta's willing to go. We then get Malevolent Shrine versus Unlimited Void, where Yuta pulls off the insanely difficult feat of shrinking his domain barrier down to the size of a basketball to withstand Sukuna's external attacks. Basically, he tries to replicate what Gojo did, but overall he struggles to use Gojo's body. I mean, he has to sift through Gojo's scattered memories just to figure out how to stabilize Hollow Purple. Eventually, he uses Blue to pull in a record containing Inumaki's cursed speech, freezing Sukuna in place and giving Yuta the opening he needs to fire a direct Hollow Purple blast. Now, the plan was for Yuta to keep the pressure on by spamming Hollow Purple, but suddenly, both domains collapse. Yuta falls to the ground as the domain expansion burns out not just Limitless, but also Kenjaku's brain transplant technique, which was what kept Yuta connected to Gojo's body. So what happens to Yuta after this? Well, as it turns out, Rika had been using her own reverse curse technique behind the scenes to preserve Yuta's original body in a kind of stasis. By doing so, she made it possible for Yuta's brain to eventually be transplanted back into his own body, and by the time Yuta wakes up in his own body, Yuji and the others have already defeated the King of Curses and saved Megumi. And finally, we have Clan Head Yuta, the man who succeeds Gojo as the leader of the Gojo clan. Now, we never actually see Yuta fight as the clan head, but what we do know is that he spent decades pouring his boundless cursed energy into the ring. And we're talking about an amount of cursed energy that cannot be contained within a single person. By using the ring as an external battery, he essentially created a cursed energy nuke that can be passed down through his bloodline. And speaking of that bloodline, Yuta eventually marries Maki, and the two have a son named Iori. Iori then goes on to have 2 children of his own, a daughter named Yuka and a son named Tsurugi. In JJK Modulo, we learn that Yuta passes the ring down to Yuka, and later, Tsurugi uses it to merge with Rika, tapping into Yuta's boundless cursed energy to defeat Marulu. Then there's Yuta's political standing. Adult Yuta was most definitely the undisputed main authority of the Jujutsu world. Just look at the state of things at that point. The Zenin clan has been wiped out up by Maki, the Kamo clan has been mogged and disgraced due to Kenjaku's interference, and Noritoshi Kamo has fled abroad. That leaves the Gojo clan as the only big Jujutsu family still standing. And in terms of strength, while we don't have a direct one-to-one fight to reference, it's more than fair to assume that Yuta eventually reaches the same tier of power as Satoru Gojo. Click on this next video to learn 34 secrets about Jujutsu Kaisen that 90% of fans don't know.